Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars.
We are live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network for a little Hometown Heroes Wednesday night, presented by Flatline Racing Bodies. And of course, we're at the world famous dirt track at Charlotte, and you know, it's always a good one here. It's a shame our friend Dean Reynolds can't be here virtually, but he is here technically at the racetrack. I saw him put up a couple pictures a little bit ago. So, Dino, we're missing you here on the sim, but good to see you here at the track in person, and we wish you nothing but a good week down there for you and the boys. But we got a little racing to do here, and, well, before we do that, let's take a look at the points coming in here. Brian Moore Sr., you see, with a small lead over Blake Chapman, but notice the races counted. Blake, 1 race less. So as we start to factor in the drop weeks, Blake Chapman looking like he's going to be the point leader. Randy Shreves possibly going to be in second after we do those drop weeks. You see that he's only run 6 races as well. But Jeffrey Barker and Brian Moore definitely still in the hunt. Long way to go here throughout the year. So Definitely, you can't count your chickens before they hatch. And hey, Dino, man, to see you out there watching. Thanks for chiming in, man. Like I say, wish Dino was here. He has been something else when you put a wing on that car. And here at Charlotte, I mean, you know, this is a place he could arguably win here. I mean, he's good at running that top shelf. The slider line comes in 3 and 4, so this is one he's going to wish he was here for, but I imagine he's having just as good of a time here. As got a more racing fan out there, Mr. Duncan. Right now we're watching Devo rip around the track here. Donovan Ross currently 5th on the timing charts, but track has really changed here since we saw those opening laps. Nobody's really going to get anywhere close to those fast times. I'll show you their most recent times here, just so you can see what guys, you know, are running. So Devo that last time with a 14.1, that was a little slower. He's experimenting. But we'll go back to their best times, and you see that the 12.9 is at the top of the charts. Nobody going to get anywhere near that time here in qualifying. As looks like the checkered flag is out on the session. Yeah, we see it waving here, and we're going to get ready to roll into qualifying here for tonight's first event here of Flatline Racing Bodies Hometown Heroes. We got the 360s first, and of course, right after this, the 410s. So, double wing action every Wednesday night. If you like racing the sprint cars, this is the place to do it. Go to C2CRL.com. Apply, I believe you have to be under a 3,000 I rating, maybe 3,500, but I do believe it's 3,000. Either way, rule book is on the website. Check that out. We're always looking for people to join up. And Randall Dixon out here on his opening lap. It's Donovan Ross quickest through Sector 2 as we'll start to see times roll in now. Patrick Spangler, the high side banger, was top of the charts, but not for long. 100 grand. Joseph Grandy in the 518 takes that over, and here comes Devo in that 05 machine, but the high side banger, purple Sector 2. He takes his place back at the top of the throne here, and can Devo get it back? Devo comes around, not going to find any time in the high side banger. Patrick Spangler currently quick time as Blake Chapman comes around. The salesman moves up to P3. Mike Cramner in the 70. He must have had a little hiccup here. He's pulling off. Let's see what Brad Waite's doing. He just finished up here, and I believe Ross Corinna, this should be him finishing up as well as the boss. Brings it home P2. Man, he got close. Closest we've seen to Patrick Spangler there, 0.03 of a second. See those other times, the 13.7. I mean, both those top two 13.5s. Those quick laps here, and those guys gonna have their work cut out for them now, though, as you know they do the invert. So Patrick Spangler and Ross Corinna, they're gonna have to drop to the back. Interesting to see how many heats we have. If we have, let's see, 8 drivers. Okay, so yeah, we're only gonna have 2 heats, an 8 and a 7. So Patrick Spangler drops back to 4th, and Joseph Grandy gets that coveted invert spot here for heat race number 1 as we bring up the starting grid. Starting on the pole, the 518 of 100 grand, Joseph Grandy, and to his outside in the 558, Brian Moore Jr. Inside of row number 2, Devo, Donovan Ross, and to his outside in that 39, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler. Brad Waite in the 814 to the inside of row 3. And to his outside in the 513, the Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker. Rounding out the field, row number 4 to the inside in that 789, we've got Cale Bixler. And to his outside, a little father and son row 4, Steve Bixler, the mayor. So let's keep our eye back here on row number 4. Hopefully the Bixlers can behave themselves, and you know there won't be any holiday shenanigans here, or Halloween shenanigans, excuse me. Still waiting on the high side banger to grid up, and it's very possible that the high side banger doesn't grid up and we see him try to back row it here. But no, as soon as I say that, Patrick, he's going to grid up. He's going to make me look dumb, and well, we're going to get ready to roll off here is the high side banger. I'm trying to... Not sure what different views I have. I'd love to see what paint Patrick's in. So we'll see if we can get a side camera as he rolls up here. That's a unfamiliar one to me. I guarantee he's run it before, but probably slipped my mind. He goes back and forth between the greens, the yellows, the blacks. Runs a white one every now and then. Well, the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 1 is set to get underway at the dirt track at Charlotte. Let's go play in the clay. 6 laps to get it done. Joseph Grandy with a big send-off into turn 1, able to slide right up. And look at the high side banger. Trim in the top shelf here. Man, he's up there in the kisses, but he is going to get a good run. He's got 3rd at the line. Patrick Spengler right back up top, and Brian Moore Jr. tries to reel in the 518 of Joseph Grandy. Brian Moore has a quick car, but right now he may have a quicker one behind him as here comes the high side banger. We go down the backstretch. Who's going to get it here out of this top 3 as we come out of 4? We're halfway 3 to go. Joseph Grandy seems like he's going to have to make a mistake if those other guys want to get by, as right now that's just not happening here as we watch Jeff Barker try to go to work on Devo here, but he slips up and Devo starts to march away. Back up front. 1.5 laps to go for that 518 as we roll through 3 and 4. Joseph Grandy sees the white flag in the air and he's ready to take on this final lap. Joseph Grandy hits that top shelf and, well, he's ready to let that thing sing into 4 as he sees that checkered flag in the air here. It's waving. Joseph Grandy wins heat race number 1, followed by Brian Moore Sr., Patrick Spengler, Donovan Ross, and Jeff Barker. I believe I said Brian Moore Jr. that whole race. And Brian, my apologies. I don't know what's going on with my eyes here. That I just realized that was Brian Moore Sr. here. No Brian Moore Jr. even in the show tonight. So, Senior, Mr. Wednesday Night, that is my apologies. And, well, that's not going to happen again here. And when we roll around to the feature, I can tell you that. But let's get ready to read off this grid here for heat race number 2. Starting on the pole, the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano, into his outside in the 56, Randy Shreves. The salesman, Blake Chapman, to the inside of row number 2. Into his outside, we've got Ross, the boss, Corinna. Inside of row 3, the 7 of Bob DeGood. Into his outside, the 70 of Michael Cramner, rounding out the field this evening. The 011 of Randall Dixon. There's Blake Chapman. Would love to start on the outside of the front row here for the feature, but the Ant-Man, he's going to have something to say about that. The 32 always strong here, and if he can sniff that chance to start on the outside of the front row, he's going to go for it. As the green flag is high, it's ready to fly. 6 laps to decide the outside lane of the feature. Let's go racing. Battle on right away. Randy Shreves trying to rip it on that top shelf. He gets a good run, and he takes over the lead for now as we enter 3. Anthony Morano, though, looking to send it back in. How deep can he go? Here comes Ross the boss on the top shelf. Side by side, battling for the lead. Advantage 32 on entry, but here comes that 56 of Randy Shreves. But right now, Anthony Morano just finding some grip down there. That Blake Chapman found as well. We're 4 wide, coming out of 4 for the lead. 4 wide! Oh, man, Blake has to bail off, but they're 3 wide going into 3, and here comes the boss. Ross Corinna takes over the lead. Slide job. Randy Shreves coming back downstairs. Randy's going to send it up here. Here comes Ross. Can Ross counter back? For now, advantage 56, but look at the boss. Deep sending the forward, 2 to go. Ross Corinna has that lead. He's got it stamped for now, but the battle is still on behind him. Randy Shreves trying to reel him in, and the salesman's trying to take that top shelf and go around the Ant-Man. White flag in the air, final time. Ross Corinna, move of the race here, started fourth, threw it 4 wide, gets it done, and he goes through 3 and 4 for the final time. Checkered flag waves. Ross Corinna wins heat race number 2, followed by Randy Shreves, Blake Chapman, Anthony Morano, Mike Cramner, Bob DeGood, and Randall Dixon. We're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we will be right back after these warm-ups for a little feature racing action here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Stick around. We are back at the dirt track at Charlotte. A little over 30 seconds here, and we'll be rolling into the feature. Track's getting racy. These guys moving all over the track, really wearing down that cushion. You see Patrick Spangler sending in, gets touched there a little by Mike Cramner, it looked like. We're going to have a racy track, and no excuses here. A lot of guys staying away from the bottom, and I think, you know, guys like Anthony Morano and Blake Chapman, truthfully, that's on purpose. They don't want to give away their hand yet, but I think there is going to be a little bit left down there in the basement. But right now, Ross Corinna, currently the quick time here in warm-ups, and able to go from 4th to 1st in heat race number 2. So Ross Corinna here should be starting on the outside of the front row for the feature. As warm-ups come to a close, we're going to get ready to take a look at tonight's starting feature lineup presented by RSN Trackside. Starting on the pole, that is not row number 1. That is row number 1. Starting on the pole, the 518 of Joseph Grandy. Into his outside, Ross the Boss, Ross Corinna. Inside of row number 2, Brian Moore Sr. in the 558. Into his outside in the 56, Randy Shreves. The high side banger to the inside of row number 3. Into his outside, the salesman in the 20, Devo Donovan Ross. On the inside of row number 4. Into his outside, the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano. The Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker, inside of row number 5. Into his outside, the 70 of Mike Cramner. The 814 of Brad Waite to the inside of row number 6. Into his outside, the 7 of Bob DeGood. The 789 machine of Cale Bixler starting on the inside of row number 7. Into his outside, the 011 of Randall Dixon. Rounding out the field, right behind his son, we've got the mayor, Steve Bixler. So we should roll around one more time here. Yeah, we will. Pace car still on the track. I just want to remind everyone out there, and well, not really remind, it stinks, but just that, you know, if you're out there watching, everyone here at Coast to Coast, we're thinking of Bob Curtis here. Sadly lost his son the other day, and Bob, we're all thinking about you here. You're a big member here at Coast to Coast, and man, you take as long as you need, but your second family's here waiting for you whenever you're ready to get back on the track here. It's not the same without that 0-1-2, and we wish you and your family nothing but the best. But we roll through turns 3 and 4 here. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 25 laps at the dirt track at Charlotte. Let's go play in the clay. Hunter Grand knows he's got to get to that top shelf. Here comes Ross Carina. He makes room in the middle, forces his way through, and he throws a slide job on the 518. Can Grandy come back for a counter side by side as they enter one? Joseph sends it up there, but look at Ross. Great run. Diamonds that corner, and now the 10. Time to drop the sails here. Set him in the wind and roll. There goes Ross, the boss. Blake Chapman looking on the outside, 3 wide. And, well, I forgot to make my pick, but I'm telling you, I would have picked Ross Carina. I'm going to do that now. I promise you I would have. You put that 10 on the front row, you're taking Ross, the boss. But right now, Blake Chapman marching his way up through the field. He's gotten into the top 5, and watching Brian Moore Sr. and Randy Shreves battle in front of him, but the Ant-Man won't go away down there in the basement. Blake Chapman trying to get a run on that 558, but right now, you know, they're in that same line, so it's tough for him to get anything working, and the Ant-Man's looking down low in the cellar. I told you they'd make it work, but they didn't want to give it away in practice. Plenty of grip down there in the basement. As we go up front, the 518 is reeled back in our leader, Ross Carina. Can Joseph Grandy strike here? Yellow flags out. Not going to be able to do it this time here as we reset. When we take the green flag, should have 18 laps to go. I believe the caution is for the 7 of Bob DeGood. Let's see if we can maybe take a look here. Bob DeGood, he's got Valvoline on the top of that thing. See, he peeks under Mike Cranmer. Mike getting a little sideways as Bob's coming up a little bit, and well, you know what that means. You know, that's bad news. Guy trying to catch the loose car, guy floating up, coming out of the corner. They meet on exit, and man, Steve Bixler with absolutely nowhere to go. The mare involved in a big accident with the 7 of Bob DeGood. Let's go back here. Let's find the mare, Steve Bixler, and let's ride on board with the mare here. Steve Bixler. I see nothing. You can kind of see it happening. He's off the gas. But I mean, he held it straight. You don't know where to go. You just hope that car clears the lane. And, well, car stayed still and nowhere for the mare to go, as he's going to have to go in and use a quick repair early. Not what he wanted to do. Patrick Spangler is one of those guys not really moving up through the field, you know. In fact, moving backwards. Started 5th, running 7th, so the 39, he's looking to swing the other way here as Ross Carina drives us through turn 3 and 4 as we're set to take the green flag. 19 laps to go. Ross with a good jump. Joseph Grandy trying to slot in line right away here, and he's able to do so. They're checking up behind him. And oh, Brian Moore Sr. with a big send. He's going to clear the 518. No, he's not. And Brian Moore Sr. goes around. No caution here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Still no caution. Still no caution. Here come the leaders, and Brian Moore Sr. just now got his caution, but if he's a lap down, that's going to end that 558's race. And well, let's go back and try and diagnose what happened here. Because, you know, we saw this live. Let's try and... And that's, you know, that's pretty... Man, you know, I always say when the guy's clearing you on a slide job, you know, it becomes the responsibility of the guy, you know, who's receiving the slide job. But I really don't think we're going to go on board here with Grandy. Man, I don't know what more. It looked like he sees it pretty late. And, I mean, yeah, actually, maybe he did see it a while. But let's see here. Let's rewind. I mean, either way, you know, the racing gods equal that stuff out. You don't want to lift for it. And, you know, I mean, he did burp it a little bit. But definitely, you know, could have lifted once he saw him. But that's just one of those deals where, for real, I mean, the racing gods equal that stuff out. I mean, they remember. Those drivers do not forget anything, I can tell you that. You know, if you don't lift for them when you throw one, they're not going to lift for you. So it's one of those things that, you know, it just happens in racing. It really does. But it's kind of one of those things that the drivers, you know, just have to kind of police that on their own. I mean, there's nobody out there that can do anything about it. It's just got to race people the way they race you. As we double it up here, Ross Carino looks to get another good start here in this 10 machine. As we roll down the backstretch for the final time, we go through 3 and 4, and Ross Carino can fire any time after that second tire there. And Ross Carino leads us to the green flag. Starts a little late, but gets a good jump, and we'll pressure on the 518. Randy Shreves in the 56 tries to go to work, and here comes the salesman. He sticks it in the middle, 3 wide. He gets both of them done, and, well, can he go to work on the 518? Here comes the salesman. Blake Chapman downstairs. Anthony Morano trying to follow him around. Gets a good run off the corner. These guys battling hard for second. And Ross Carino, he needs to take advantage of this and try to hightail his way on out of here as these guys going hard for P2. They're 3 wide for a second, but Joseph Grandy gets a big run on the top shelf. Patrick Spangler trying to race his way up in there. He's gotten into the top 5, but wants to get on that podium. Patrick Spangler, you know, it's not very commonplace of him not to be on the podium, and it looks like we've got a caution. The 789 of Cale Bixler involved. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened here. Caution comes out earlier than when I see anything. So, not sure if that was net code there. It looked like there was a gap between those guys. Or maybe Brian. Yeah, see, that's huge net code. I mean, it just turns Cale over the front of him. That's kind of a tough break for those guys. I mean, not sure if Brian had already gotten in the wall by himself, but Cale definitely didn't do anything wrong in that 789, just net code, and he gets turned around. Tough break for Cale Bixler. So we pace around here once again at the dirt track at Charlotte. Third caution of the evening. Ross Carino still leads the way. Same old song and dance out front. But the partners are starting to change here as Blake Chapman trying to get his way up into this thing, and Patrick Spangler trying to creep his way into the picture. A lot of guys starting to move their way on up. They heard the rumor, it's go time. They're running out of laps. When we get the green flag here, we're going to have 12 to go. So all gas, no brakes right now if you're trying to work your way on up through the field. As we go down the backstretch for the final time, the drivers are set to drive off into turn 3, and Ross Carino in that 10 will lead us to the green flag once again. Went with a late restart the last time. Let's see what he does this time. Gonna go a little later again and bunches up the field, lets them battle, and Ross can try to drive away. Patrick Spangler right away to that top shelf. Look at him stealing Mama's cookies. Big run here as he finds himself on the outside of the 56. Can he look into the bottom now under Blake Chapman? Big run here. He's got to send it in. Didn't want to lift, didn't want to break that momentum, but now he's going to probably drop back in line behind Blake. Now those two got to go to work on the 518. They got to work together. If they battle too hard, they're not going to be able to run down that 10 of Ross Corinna. Ross so good out front, and, I mean, been nearly perfect. Joseph Grandy right now, he is making those drivers work as Patrick Spengler sent it in. Here goes Blake Chapman down in the basement. He's sending it upstairs. He's going to park it in front of the 518. Joseph Grandy looks low. Joseph Grandy going to park it in front of the 20, and now he gives Joe a lesson here. That's what you do when you see a guy sliding in front of you. You crack that throttle, you drive underneath him, and the salesman looks to drive away here. Joe with one last send here. That's a late slider. And, I hate to keep harping on it, but there's no difference in what he just did there and what Brian Moore Sr. did to him. Just two drivers reacting differently from that lead car. And you get good racing when you do this. And, oh, no! Blake thought about threading that needle, gets into the high side banger. They both have damaged race cars. No caution at the dirt track at Charlotte. Joseph Grandy carries on. 5 to go for the boss here. It looks to be all knotted up for Ross Corinna. Caution is out on the racetrack. We do get a caution. And man, oh man, not too sure if he gets involved here with Blake Chapman. I see Jeff Barker and Blake Chapman involved. So Blake, his right front's broken. Barker doesn't know that, and either does Blake. He gets into him. That's a tough deal for Jeff. I mean, Blake would never do that on purpose. Right front's broke, and, well, I mean, we all know where this started. It goes back a little further than that here. These guys racing hard. Apparently, Shaggy didn't even go back far enough, but... So you can see the idea, he doesn't realize probably that Grandy's there, and that's just, it is what it is. Happens in racing sometime. Patrick is not going to be... He's not going to be upset about this one. It's just, I wouldn't think. It's three guys racing hard. It's what's going to happen. So Patrick goes for the big send. Blake sees this. He's got to run. Cracks that throttle like he'd been doing. You see it. Rotate it. Then he gooses it up to rotate it. Wants to drive in the middle. Sees Grandy last second. Counter steers right. As Patrick, he's got to come down a little bit because he was getting close to the wall. And they make contact and gonna really hurt that 39 in the 20s night here, as I do believe they both had to tow. And Ross Corinna here has a tightened up field now right behind him as the pace car pulls off. We're gonna have 4 to go when he takes the green flag. Who you got? Ross versus the field right now. It's gonna be tough to get around that 10 machine as the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 4 more trips around the dirt track at Charlotte. We're underway. Ross Corinna with an absolute banger for a jump again, and these guys battle hard for those bottom 2 podium spots. The Ant-Man shrinks himself down, and he rolls in the basement, but just can't find the grip out of 4 now, but he's not going away. Gets real close to that tire, but loses grip in the center, and that top shelf just pulls away. As we come across the line, 2 fingers in the air, 2 more trips around, battle on for P2. Randy Shreves trying to do what he can to get around that 518, but he's running out of time. They go down the backstretch into turns 3 and 4. White flag in the air. Joseph Grandy in the wall. He's squirrely a little bit. We're going to get a big send here from Randy Shreves as he goes down low. Gonna park it up in front of the 518. Joseph drives back under. We go through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Ross Corinna dominated the show, and he's going to take the checkers at the dirt track at Charlotte, followed by Joseph Grandy, Randy Shreves rounding out the podium, Anthony Morano, and Brad Waite rounding out your top 5. Brad Waite, also your hard charger, started 11th up to 5th. That's 6 spots in Shaggy math. Great run there for the 814 of Brad Waite. And Ross Corinna, he's been a ghost Been a busy man. We haven't seen him a lot, but comes back, takes the checkers here in Hometown Heroes, and we're going to give these guys a minute or two to catch their breath here, and we're going to pull up the top 3 for their interviews. So just hang out a minute here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we'll be right back. As drivers are starting to make their way up into the waiting room, let's see. We do have the 56 of Randy Shreves, so we'll go ahead and pull him up here. Hey, Randy, Shaggy up here, man. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Shaggy.
Well, man, it's kind of one of those deals where Ross Corinna, in his own realm here tonight out front, but boy, that battle for second, man. Talk us through that. You were real close to nabbing that thing away from Joseph.
Yeah, it was real close there at the end. I found a little something a little too late, but it was a fun race. Definitely hard to figure out where to be on that track. It was just kind of wherever you can fit in is where you get in. So I don't know. You just kind of had to be patient and see how everything played out. And overall it turned out good and had a fun race.
Yeah, it seemed like, talking about the weird track, it was. Some guys, could run the bottom, it seemed like, every now and then, but very hard to hit. Do you think when we bust out the 410s here next, we're going to get any bottom racing, or do you still think that it's going to be that middle top like we saw here?
You never know with these things. I'd like to say that it's going to be top side. I like it. I like the top here, but we'll just have to see.
Well, hey, Randy, man, we're going to find out when you do here in the next one. So good luck, brother. You put on a good show tonight. Almost took second, but hey, man, got to be happy with that podium. Great run. Who you want to thank?
For sure. Definitely want to thank everybody at Coast to Coast. I want to thank you at Shaggy TV for broadcasting every week. I want to thank KSB Builders, my son Dylan Shreves for painting my car, Flatline Racing Bodies, and I want to thank everybody for watching.
Man, Dylan's going to have to start giving you free wraps. I don't know if you pay him, but you get on the podium all the time, getting that kid so much sponsorship. You may have earned one now, Randy. Great run, and I look forward to talking to you after this 410 race, man. What do you say?
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right, good luck, Randy. That's your third
Thanks.
place finisher, Randy Shreves. And now we're going to bring up the man who finished P2, Joseph Grandy. Now, Joe, you had your hands full there at the end, man. We saw you get into the wall there with 2 to go, one little hiccup, and, well, you got in a slider battle with Randy Shreves. How hard was it to hold on to second?
Not too bad. I just, messed up a few times here, spinning my tires come out of 2. That seemed to be my weakest spot there, but overall, good run. Apologize to Brian Moore Sr. there. I tried letting off, but didn't have much time there, and at first, I thought I caused the accident between Blake and Patrick, but looked back and it was just a little hiccup between them.
Oh, no, yeah, man. You just caught Blake by surprise there. You can kind of see you at the last minute. He turns up right as Patrick's kind of a little loose coming down and just not enough room. You caught them both by surprise, and you did exactly what you had to do to hold on to that. Those guys were coming. You had to race hard. That's exactly what you did, Joe. And you guys, you made it look fun there. 3 of you battling for second. At least it was fun to watch. Great run here, Joe. And who would you like to thank, my man?
Catalytic Recovery, West End Tone and Repair, Highline Photography, all the guys over at Inferno Motorsports. Good run for Brad there. My girlfriend Olivia, Coast to Coast, all the guys behind the scenes, and appreciate you, man, for doing the broadcast.
Well, hey, heck of a run, Joe. You going to bust the 410 out here next?
Yeah, I'm a little more comfortable in 410s than the 360s, honestly, so I much prefer racing them.
All right, man. Looking forward to it. Hopefully I talk to you again, brother. Good luck.
Thanks.
That's your second place finisher, Joseph Grandy. And now we bring up the man of the hour, the boss, Ross Corinna. Dude, big time move there on the opening lap. You sucker your way in there, you throw it in, dude, and you never look back, man. You had a quick race car tonight. How'd it feel?
Yeah, it felt good. I kind of assumed Grandy was gonna slide up there at the beginning, so I knew I was either going to have to just follow in behind them or cut underneath. Luckily, the row behind us wasn't quite on us, so I was able to cut down and get underneath them, get a good drive off of two, and like you said, just not look back from there. You just track felt good. You just had to basically not make mistakes, and running up in clean air with this new build seems to be kind of a huge advantage more than what it used to be. So that's it's always good to get up front.
Yeah, and I mean, it comes down to, I think, too, at the time, you set them up perfect. I mean, the slider line in 3 and 4 arguably was what was quick, there at the beginning of the feature. So you diamond him in the middle of 2 there, cut under him, and dude, I mean, when you went by him, it looked like you just dropped the sails on that thing and it took off. Nobody was running anywhere near the times you did tonight, and man, you earned this one, Ross. Second quickest in qualifying with a big, dude, I almost forgot about that, man. Did you see you were 4 wide in the heat? Did you go back and check that out?
I forgot to look at it. I'll have to go back on the broadcast.
Oh my gosh, dude!
I'm like, geez. I actually, when I was doing them, when we were in the moment, I was like, I don't know if this is really a spot I want to be in, but there we were. So luckily, everybody in this league's pretty clean and knows what they're doing. So we were able to pull off the move. But yeah, it was. Now that you say that, I remember that was probably even a bigger move than the one in the feature.
Oh, 100%, man. It puts you in that outside front row starting spot. We know how big of a deal that is, especially, you said the talent we have. You can get out front and drop hammer. It's hard to run them down. And you were the guy who got to do that tonight, dude. They couldn't run you down. You showed why we call you the boss. Great run, Ross. Who you want to thank?
The Phantom Motorsports guys, Velocity Race Design. I know that's me, but thank myself, I guess. But I know it's not it's a fixed race, but M9 setups for all the open stuff. You guys, Shaky TV, for putting on the show, and Coast to Coast Racing League for everybody behind the scenes keeping the league going. So,
well, hey, heck of a run, Ross, and I'm sure I'll see you in this 410 race, right?
Yep, I'll be there. Hopefully, I get to talk to you. But
sounds good, man. Give him hell, Ross.
Thanks.
And that's your feature winner here in the 360s, presented to you by Flatline Racing Bodies. We're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we'll be right back with more action here at the dirt track at Charlotte. We're going to bust out the 410s. Stick around.
It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a bit of a hiatus, so let's get. Right when we talked about it.
these dollars had come together to support us. And we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
We are back live on the Coast to Coast Racing League for part 2 of Hometown Heroes, presented by Flatline Racing Bodies. The first one, man, we had 4 wide in the heats. We had battles all over the track, sliders. Man, I look for even more here in the 410s. Always good racing at Charlotte. This place never disappoints. I mean, it's by far one of the crown jewel dirt tracks, you know, that we have. There's some good ones. So I don't know what I would rank them. Man, that's crazy. I'm gonna have to think about that. Maybe I'll have that for next week here, where I rank them. But I mean, you would have to think Charlotte up there in the top 3. I mean, we got Volusia. That's one of the good ones. I like Eldora. I know not many people dig it, but I am a fan of Lincoln. I mean, it's obviously probably because it's a hometown track to me, but I love the layout. It's unique. With Charlotte, man, this has to be probably the top dog here. Is the Ant-Man Anthony Morano is the first car out of the pits. We'll follow him for lap number 1. 32 rolls out of turns 3 and 4. He's set to take the green flag. Running upstairs here, trying to keep up all that speed. Gets into the wall. Lap number 1 is not going to count here for this 32. So hopefully he can get a big improvement on that second lap. Let's see what Brian Moore Sr. does. Joseph Grandy told us this is probably his favorite sprint car here. He puts it in the front, puts it on the pole here, lap number 1. Can he improve slower sector 1, slower sector 2? Not going to improve lap 2, as Joseph Grandy does stay on the pole for now. Let's watch Ross Corinna, or Blake Chapman here. Here he comes. Comes around lap number 1. Let's see Blake here. What's this time look like for the salesman? Comes home P5 as he goes around for his second and final lap, slower in sector 1. Gonna need a big improvement sector 2, doesn't get it, and he's gonna stay P5 as we watch Ross Corinna go around, green. P11 for now is the boss, looking for a big improvement here on his final lap. Can the 10 move his way on up the charts? A 12.6, I'd say so. Gonna move the boss up to P2, and Ross Corinna He's going to do his best to try to talk to Shaggy again. Puts it on the front row, and, well, he's going to start P4 in heat number 2. If that sounds familiar, he did the same thing about a half hour ago in the 360s. So Ross Corinna trying to complete the same path. Here, he doesn't have an easy route to tonight's win, but starting on that front row, heat number 2, it's definitely gonna help the case here as we get ready for the starting grid here of heat race number 1. Starting on the pole, the high side banger Patrick Spangler, and to his outside, Brian Moore Sr. in the 558. The Ant-Man Anthony Morano to the inside of row number 2, and to his outside, $100,000 Joseph Grandy. Inside of row number 3, the 814 of Brad Wade, and to his outside, rounding out the field, the 7 of Bob DeGood. It's the high side banger. He doesn't get to start P1 too often, but 410s aren't necessarily his forte. I think he'd say that as we roll down the backstretch here, getting ready to kick off heat race number 1 for tonight's finals here. The 410s presented by Flatline Racing Bodies, Hometown Heroes, Wednesday night. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 1 underway. Patrick Spangler keeps it down in the basement now. Gets a good run off of 2. But here comes Brian Moore Sr. with an even bigger run. He shoots it downstairs, and he's going to throw that late slide job. Patrick Spangler cracks that throttle, drives back underneath, and that's how your race. We're underway. 1 lap in the books. The Ant-Man gets into the outside wall, trying to go around Joseph Grandy on the high side. They're still battling up front. Anthony Morano with right front damage hard into the wall. He's going to have to tow. Patrick Spangler with a big send here, not able to hold momentum, and Brian Moore Sr. holds on to the lead for now as we're coming to the halfway point. 3 laps to go. Almost 3 wide as $100,000 looks down in the cellar here, trying to find some room. Goes back up in the middle here, wants to carry a big run off of 4. Can he make a move? 2 laps to go. The high side banger goes to the top shelf. He's trying to set up Brian Moore for 1 move here as he comes to the white flag. He's going to send it in deep, throw the slide job. Brian counters. They're side by side, white flag in the air. As we roll off of 2, Patrick Spangler looks to get ahead of steam. He's going to send it in down low. Brian Moore Sr. tries to pinch him down. He does a good enough job. He holds him off at the line by 200s. Brian Moore Sr. wins heat race number 1, followed by Patrick Spangler, Joseph Grandy, Brad Wade, Bob DeGood, and Anthony Morano. Heat race number 2, starting grid. Starting on the pole, the 56 of Randy Shreves, and to his outside in the 20, the salesman, Blake Chapman. The Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker to the inside of row 2, and to his outside, your 360 feature winner this evening, Ross the Boss Corinna. Rounding out the field in the 05, we've got Devo Donovan Ross. This is a tough heat, really. Arguably, any of these 5 could win this, and you wouldn't be shocked. This is these guys got their work cut out for them here. Is Blake Chapman? He's gonna have to be smooth as silk up there to get a good run coming off of 2 right away and try to cement a move for the lead on Randy Shreves. He wants to get out to the front right away, and Randy Shreves at the same time looking for a good restart here, trying to just get a good run off the bottom. We saw Patrick Spangler try it, couldn't do it. We'll have to see if Randy can do any better as the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 2 underway. Randy with a great jump right away gets to the top shelf in front of Blake, and now Blake, he's got to get out that fishing pole, and he's got to reel in that 56. He's got a lot of hard work ahead of him in this one. Ross Corinna, your 360 winner. He looks for the big send here. He's going to send it up in front of the Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker. Jeff Barker tries to counter back going down the backstretch. Jeff has to hold his own, though, in the middle of 3 and 4, and he lets Ross carry momentum and drive away here as we head down the backstretch. Randy Shreves not feeling too much pressure from the kid there in the 20. Blake knows long race, don't make an enemy right now, just got to pace yourself, and if you finishes in second. He's going to start fourth in tonight's feature. Ross Corinna, currently, he starts sixth. Now, he's not going to be happy with that. Knows that'll make his job too hard, and Ross, he's got to turn it on. He's got 2 laps left. The 10 car, always fast, but man, you know, having to start fourth in the heat, that's a tough deal. He's got to get on the binders. Not sure what's going on with Ross Corinna. He loses a spot, though, and as we roll through 3 and 4 for the final time, Blake Chapman not able to make a move, and Randy Shreves wins heat race number 2, followed by Blake Chapman, Jeff Barker, Ross Corinna, and Donovan Ross. As we're going to take a real quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we'll be right back with your final feature of the evening, the 410s at the dirt track at Charlotte. Stick around. We are back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. A little over 50 seconds here left in warm-ups, and we'll be rolling into our feature. I do believe I skipped over the points here this evening for the 410s, but let's go ahead. Let's just take a look at that. I'm not too sure. I don't believe drop weeks are counted into this. I saw a discussion going on in the Discord, but I believe Patrick was referring to pictures that he gave out to Marty. I don't believe drop weeks are counted in on this yet, but I could be wrong. They may. Patrick may jump in that chat box, tell me I'm wrong, or maybe someone else will. But currently Brian Moore Sr. atop the board by a 14-point margin, but does have the extra race over Blake Chapman. So definitely time to wind up the gap here as the checkered flag flies on tonight's warm-up session. Ross Corinna tops that chart, and he's got his work cut out for him here in the feature. Going to have to start 8th, I believe. I think he finished 4th in heat race number 2, but we'll know for sure here when we get tonight's starting feature lineup. And it looks like we do have that. Starting on the pole, the 558 of Brian Moore Sr. And to his outside in the 56, Randy Shreves. What a row number 2. The high side banger, Patrick Spengler to the inside. And to his outside, the salesman, Blake Chapman. Joseph Grandy on the inside of row number 3, $100,000. And to his outside, the Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. Brad Waite to the inside of row number 4. Into his outside, Ross, the boss, Corinna. Bob DeGood to the inside of row number 5. Into his outside, Devo, Donovan Ross. And rounding out the field this evening, that 32 machine of the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano. Brian Moore Sr., Mr. Wednesday Night here, set to bring us to the green flag. I got to talk to him Monday night after a sprint car race, and maybe I laid the hex on him. I told him I'd talk to him Wednesday night. I mean, I call him Mr. Wednesday Night. He's always on the podium here, Hometown Heroes, but running into a little trouble tonight, and I'll tell you, those guys around him, they ain't going to make it easy for him to get that podium. The 558's got his work cut out for him, and Shaggy's 1 for 1 tonight. I picked Ross Corinna there. Now, you know, he did have the lead. It was 2 laps late, but I'm telling you, you don't not take the boss when he's on the front row. And when you look at the high side banger and you look at Blake Chapman in row number 2, how can you not pick them? I mean, or at least one of them. Obviously, you can't pick both. And, well, Gretchen, I'm doing it. I'm picking the kid. We're going to pick the salesman here. We'll see what happens as we roll through 3 and 4. The flagman's got the green in his hand. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 25 laps at the dirt track at Charlotte. Let's go. Playing the click. Randy Shreves pulls a wheelie. And oh man, Brad, who was that? Donovan Ross. He had gotten tagged in the wall. Jeff Barker. That, oh man, is the right front damaged on him? He's going to probably have to tow that thing. We do get a caution. As Bob DeGood ended up having to tow, I believe. But let's go back. Let's see what brought out this caution. So Bob DeGood, you can see this is something way later. Ant-Man comes up, no harm, no foul. Bob just goes up there and gets into the side of the 56 and loops it and caution out at the dirt track. While we have time, though, let's try to go back and we're going to find the green flag. We're going to go find Randy Shreves here. And Randy, you'll see, who's that wheelie? Blake able to scoot by, but you know, that's a big break here for the 56. I believe he will. I don't know if he's going to get. Okay, he went down and possibly pitted, or I was going to say Randy should get his spot back, but probably had a little damage on that thing. Did go down and pit, I can see, so and use that quick repair, got it all set. Brian Moore Sr. set to lead the field to the green flag once again. Patrick Spangler, though, finds himself in P2 this time, and the high side banger, man, on the clean line on the top shelf. That's not what the rest of the field wants to see here as we roll through turns 3 and 4. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Brian Moore Sr. leads the field to the green flag. Bob DeGood gets sideways, possibly coming out of the pits. And we're back under caution here at the dirt track at Charlotte. We've all had it happen to us here, trying to roll out quick, I imagine, before we go green flag. This 410, sometimes it can get the best of you here. We see that quick repair come in, tries to go out, pulls that wheelie a little bit, and just spins it when he gets on the track. And as the leaders are coming, lucky break that we did get a caution. That could have been bad news for the field. That 814 working his way up through the field. Anthony Morano as well, up 4 spots in that 32. I believe even with all the hiccups here, from what I'm seeing on the leaderboard, all drivers still are on the lead lap. So even with mistakes here, plenty of time for guys to correct them and get back to where they need to be. Sure if okay, we needed to catch the pace car. That was the problem here. Oh, this guy's getting squirrely there in the back. As the lights go off on the pace car, and we're supposed to take the green flag here this time. We were supposed to last time, so we won't we don't want to jinx us here, but we're supposed to get this green flag. We should have 22 more trips around here, so 2 cautions in early in the race. Expect a long green flag run, hopefully sooner rather than later. As the green flag is high, it's ready to fly. We're back underway at the dirt track at Charlotte. Blake Chapman trying to move on the high side banger as the salesman buys some real estate downstairs, and he's going to use up all that grip while it's there. Good run out of 4. Blake Chapman to second. Blake stays down there. He likes what he sees in the 518 of Joseph Grandy. He goes up top. He gets a little bump there from Ross Carina. Ross had to back out of it. Brad Wade almost involved. But here comes Anthony as he tries to strike the Ant-Man in that teal and white machine. He tries to thread the middle, but Ross Carina too much to tame on that high side for now. Blake Chapman able to get by Brian Moore Sr. My apologies, we missed that, but the salesman out front here, and he had it at the line, so if a caution comes out, this is all Blake Chapman, and there we go. Caution does come out. We see the Ant-Man of Anthony Morano loop around. Let's go back and see if we can see what happened here. Let's go back a little further. Anthony Morano coming out of 2. Tries to float up in front of the 814 of Brad Waite, but not clear and hard into the outside wall. Let's get an aerial of this here. Let's swap out. Let's see how close he was to actually clearing the 814. So he tries to slide up in front of that Inferno Motorsports machine, and Brad Waite, oh man, almost so close, but not enough. And wow, Ross Carina barely squeezes by. Out front, the salesman, Blake Chapman. Got to the front, looking to stay there here. Only 5 laps underway and 3 cautions in, so you know we're due for the green flag run here, and you know you don't want to be caught out by surprise. You got to make sure you're in a good spot here. Blake Chapman, Patrick Spangler, you know they started 3rd and 4th, still hanging out towards the front. Brian Moore Sr. is, you know, I call him Mr. Wednesday Night, but boy, man, he's got his work cut out for him here, as it's not often, you know, the point leader may be the underdog right now, but man, there are some big dogs up here in the top 5, and Brian Moore Sr. gonna have to claw to keep his way up at the top as we roll through 3 and 4. Blake Chapman rolls the bottom as he's set to bring us back to the green flag. 19 laps at the dirt track at Charlotte. Great jump for the salesman, man. Guys caught sleeping back through the field. Brian Moore Sr. needs to go to work here quick as the high side banger up there where Mama hides the cookies. He gets a big run coming out of 4, and he is all over the tail tank in the middle of 1 and 2 as he cuts low and he diamonds down for that middle podium spot. Look at that 39 machine roll as he's got the coal burning in that train. Brian Moore Sr. sends it back up in front of the 39, but Patrick Spangler, he's comfortable throwing the slider. The high side banger bangs down that wall, and he holds on to P2 at the line, but Brian Moore coming back for more. Able to send it up in front of the 39. Patrick Spangler, same thing. Different day here. We've seen this twice already. Patrick, he holds it at the line. Brian, he's running out of steam here. One last... caught out there. Patrick nowhere to go, had to get on the binders, and Randy Shreves, he takes advantage and he moves up to P2, and meanwhile out front Blake Chapman loving every second of this 1.6 second lead. The salesman, he's ready to sell some popcorn here. Patrick Spangler meanwhile got to put that head down, got to go back to work. Let's ride on board with the 39. Caution's out. Caution is out on the racetrack. The Brewerton, no, not Jeff Barker. Ross Corinna, our 360 feature winner, involved in an accident here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. Joseph Grandy possibly involved there. Yeah, we see the end of it. So Ross was already in the wall. This starts going down the front stretch. You see he gets into that. Probably broke the right front. Didn't want to steer. Stuck up in the wall. Joseph Grandy gets into him. There goes Anthony Morano. There goes Bob DeGood. And man, we got 3 or 4 cars involved in this one. And we're just a little over halfway. Or no, excuse me. When we get the green flag, we will be at halfway. 12, we'll have 12 out of 25. There is no technically real halfway unless we're going lap 12 and a half. So we'll just call it the halfway point when we do take the green. Lights are off in the Steve King Foundation pace car, I believe. No, maybe they aren't. Yes, they are. As the pace car is going to dive in. Here going down the backstretch in the 20 of Blake Chapman is set to bring us back to the green flag here. 12 laps to go when he drops the hammer. Can Blake Chapman hold on, or can Brian Moore Sr. find a way to get back around? 11 laps to go, get it done. Patrick Spangler immediately trying to rip down that wall here as he needs to get momentum. The high side banger, that's the only way he knows how to do it. Loves to rip down that wall. Loves to really make that right rear work, but he's got to mount the charge here. He's running out of time. 11 laps to go as Blake Chapman walks away. Battle was on, but Donovan Ross there, he had gotten hard into the wall. That right front's broke. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it into the infield as he tries. He's going to. Tough break for Devo. As Blake Chapman walks around here, 9 laps to go. Patrick Spangler with a move for that final podium spot here as he's able to get in front of the 56, but for how long? Randy Shreves with a big send downstairs. Patrick's got to counter back. Randy Shreves gets him to the outside wall. Patrick's got to hang on now. Almost got to the inside tire. That made that slider a little awkward, but he's able to hold on as he comes to the line. 7 laps to go for Blake Chapman. Blake, I mean, he's just nursing it down there on the bottom. You got to think if he has to go up top, it's a good sign for later. Got a lot of tire left, I'd imagine, as the kid rolls around. 6 more laps to go. Anthony Morano started 11th up to 7th, but he's got a big gap to the car in front of him, who's Joseph Grandy, just in the outside wall. But he's got a car around in front of him. Randy Shreves in the 56. And we are back under caution at the dirt track at Charlotte. Randy Shreves, as he comes out of 2 here, we'll have to see. He's in the wall, going down the backstretch hard into where the wall starts at the entrance of turn 3, and that right front's broken. He's going to have to go down to the pits, and I think that might be the end of the 56 night here for Randy Shreves' tough break. Running out of cars left, though. Only have 7 out on the racetrack healthy, so good chance for a top 5 if you're still out there running. And if you're Blake Chapman, you can't put your head down. You can't go to sleep yet. You got the high side banger and Brian Moore Sr. right behind you. And they are just waiting for you to make a mistake here. As lights aren't off yet, so we will go around one more time at the dirt track at Charlotte. So again, thank you for tuning in this evening here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Don't miss a show. Head on over to Shaggy TV on Facebook. Hit that like button on there too. If you don't mind, do a lot of live broadcasting on Shaggy TV on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're into the virtual racing, I've got your fix here. Pretty much every night of the week except Friday. Friday is Shaggy's night off. And the pace lights are off, and Blake Chapman is set to bring us back to the green flag. 4 laps to go when he drops the hammer on the 20. I know I like to go to that starter cam, but right now the final podium spot, you see that 39. This is going to be our view here for the restart. Let's see what Patrick Spangler sees. We're going to watch this through turn 1. As the green flag is out, you see him drop the hammer. Patrick Spangler, he's going to go to the top, and he's going to make that thing scream right away. He's got a mount of charge. Let's see what he can do going down the backstretch. He gets into the outside wall. Gonna drive it in deep here. 3 to go for the kid out front in the 20. You gotta think he's got this thing locked up barring a mistake. He's been so smooth on the bottom. And Brian Moore Sr., he just found a little bit of speed though through 1 and 2. Slowly reels him back in. 2 more to go this time by. Anthony Morano up the 5th as he battles Brad Waite for that 4th spot. Looks to the basement here. Got 6 more turns to get by that 814 as we come across the start-finish line. Blake Chapman, he is feeling the heat from Brian Moore Sr. He is right there. 1 mistake from the kid, and Brian Moore Sr. can steal this thing. Final time through 3 and 4. Blake Chapman smooth on the bottom, and he's going to take the checkers home at Charlotte. Brian Moore Sr. P2, Patrick Spangler P3. Brad Waite 4th, and Joseph Grandy rounding out the top 5 here this evening. Good race here for Flatline Racing Bodies Hometown Heroes. Great racing in both wing divisions. Couple cautions early in this one, but boy, they smoothed it over and they turned it on, and Brian Moore had the top rolling. He was coming a couple more laps, and he may have had something for the kid out front, but you know what they say, coulda, woulda, shoulda, ran out of time, and Blake Chapman takes home the checkered flag, and Shaggy goes 2 for 2 on picks this evening. I am on a roll. As we'll give Patrick Spangler that minute or two, or he don't need a minute. He just popped up here, so let's go ahead. Let's pull up the 39 of Patrick Spangler. Hey, Patrick, Shaggy up here, man. You got a copy?
Yep, gotcha.
Well, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, I'm glad people get to learn from you here, and it's maybe not, you know, what you want to happen, but it just shows you race smart. You're able to hold on to that 3rd. And what I'm talking about is, Patrick, you get a late slider thrown on you, and we see you do what you have to do, man. You get in those breaks, and boy, it was hard for you to get back up to 3rd, but you were able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this track's all around the top. Blake was making it work for a little bit on the bottom there, but we were train sliders. We were pretty quick up top. I think if we could get a green flag run, we were making the top work pretty good. But I think we just robbed of a good race there, just with all the cautions. I think we had 20 cars at Lincoln the other night, went 1 caution, and we had 13 here and got a bunch. So just the nature of the beast here.
Yeah, you know, but don't be so quick to forget the B race that I was in at Lincoln.
What race? I don't remember that.
Yeah, exactly, right? But hey, man, you know, sometimes that's the way it goes, and you weren't able to get a bunch of long green flag runs, but man, once you did get a, you know, 2 or 3 laps under the belt, you had that high side rolling, and reminded us why we call you the high side banger. A lot of speed in that 39 tonight, and I know 3rd probably isn't what you wanted, but all in all, great run for you, Patrick. Who you want to thank?
Just Roger for the just one of the best leagues on racing here running you. You put out some broadcasts each week, and all the broadcasts you across iRacing. Bandits custom graphics for the new graphic here on the farm run on Wednesdays. Just for the top guys run good, hard, clean racing. That was fun. And now I'll go back on watching.
Well, hey, heck of a run, Patrick. Good points night for you here, and able to bring home another podium. Congratulations, man. I hope I talk to you more next week.
Thanks, sounds good.
That's a 3rd place finisher, Patrick Spangler. Man, he's so good. I tried to drag him out of the Discord, and he's already gone. I mean, that's just something as a broadcaster, man, you got to appreciate that 39 of Patrick Sningler. He's just he's just a working man's hero. But now we got the everyday hero, or the Wednesday night hero, man. Brian Moore Sr., able to find your way back up here. And, man, you had a tough battle there in the 360s, not able to find the podium. But, Brian, boy, you and Patrick, man, you were battling. And, dude, you showed us how much fun these 410s can be.
Oh, they are. They're a blast, man. I really like these 410s, getting in here. And well, the track never really went away. There's still plenty of grip here and there. And it was real racy. It was fun. I don't know if it seemed like the bottom was starting to go away for Blake there in 3 and 4. And I had a run on him once. I think I could get up beside him there. But coming out, it was still there for him. So I don't think I'd have got by him. And shoot, there at the end, I don't know where Patrick came from, man. All of a sudden, there he was coming to that checkered flag. And I thought, dang, he must have had a heck of a run.
Yeah, I mean, well, even so, I mean, dude, you talked about a couple more laps there. The bottom was going away, especially in 3 and 4. I mean, you were reeling Blake in there. Were your eyes getting big that last lap? Did you think maybe you had a chance?
They did. I thought, man, I could maybe come back on this if he stays on the bottom. And I was just hoping he's going to stay on the bottom and let me have that top. And he did. I just couldn't capitalize on it there.
Hey, man, you gave us a good show. You battled hard. And, when two guys race clean like that hard, man, it is a lot of fun to watch. You and Patrick's throwing those sliders. It makes good for the broadcast and, it makes even better for the points there for that 558. Another good night for you here. Right. So maybe walk out of here still on top. I mean, Blake able to peel in a little bit, but that P2, man, that's a hell of a run for you, Brian. So congratulations, my man. Who you want to thank?
Thanks. Well, thank you guys for putting this stuff on and doing the broadcast and all that stuff, coast to coast, Roger, all you guys. And I got to give a shout out to my favorite sister-in-law, Rona. I had an interview with you Monday night, and I went blank completely. And I couldn't remember nothing. Flatline Racing Bodies, or I couldn't remember my sister-in-law's name. So I just want to apologize to her on here because she's one of my biggest fans, I believe. She's hooping and hollering for us, and I just want to give her a big Rona. Sorry, I hope you put me back on your Christmas list.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you want to make sure you got that wrapped up here before we roll into December. And, well, we can't ever forget about Rona, the sister-in-law. I'll make sure we don't ever forget about her again, Mr. Wednesday Night. Hell of a run, Brian. And, man, I look forward to talking to you a lot more this season, man. Good run.
All right. Thanks a lot, Shay.
And now we're going to pull up the man of the hour here, Blake Chapman, able to get it done. Blake, able to get this win here, man, but it didn't seem like it was easy there early on trying to get to the front. Talk to us about that.
No, I almost found it more of a struggle at the end than I did at the beginning. I felt pretty good in the warm-up there running the bottom, and I knew that's where I wanted to be early, even though I was starting up top. So fortunately, we were able to have a couple cautions there that put me on the bottom, and I was able to get down there and work it a little bit, and was able to hit it consistently and get to the lead, and it felt really, really good down there until about 10 laps to go. I was noticing the entries to the corner were getting really, really slick, and it was tough to set the car in there. I had it handled pretty well in 3 and 4 until the last couple laps, and it got really tricky. But yeah, the entries were going away, and O'Brien was getting fast up in the middle top wherever he was running, and I was thinking about moving up, but the bottom was just too good coming off that I knew I could probably have a pretty good chance of winning the race if I kept it down there and hit my marks and was able to get off the corners good enough, which I was able to do.
Yeah, now, you talked about it there. The bottom, it's starting to slow down at the end, and, the top's coming, but is that a case of where in your mind, real quick, you gotta put them on the scales here, weigh the risk versus the reward? You're real comfortable on the bottom coming off the corner, and we know how tricky those entrances here at Charlotte can get.
Yeah, it can get really tricky, and once you get in a rhythm down there, I didn't want to give it up. And Charlotte's one of these tracks where so many different lines can come into play. With running the middle, the bottom, middle, the top, all the way around the top. I just didn't know where other guys were running, where the fast lines were, so I just played it safe and stuck out on the bottom.
Well, hey, kid, you made me look like I know something here tonight. I pick you to win finally, and you get it done. So the curse is lifted here. Congratulations, man. Big run. And I know, looking at these points, I don't think the drop weeks were added yet here. And you're sitting P2 pretty close here, man. And another win, that's going to look good in the point standing. So congratulations, Blake. Good run, man. Who you want to thank?
Yeah, I got to thank the parents for watching. Got to thank all the guys down at the Kite Sim Racing team. Got to thank Preston at Epsilon Sprint Wraps and Andy at A&J Custom Creations. And of course, I got to thank Galen's Gourmet Popcorn. They got some great popcorn. You can head over to their website and don't forget to use code CART, that's C-A-R-T, at checkout for 15% off. And I got to thank you for putting this broadcast on, Shaggy.
Well, hey, hell of a run, Blake. Good win, man. And, dude, we know this isn't going to be the last time I talk to you this year. Good luck, man. Or good run.
Thank you.
And that's the kid, man, the salesman, Blake Chapman. He stole all the talent from the Chapman family. I don't get the win anymore. He takes all of them. It's not fair. I'm going to have to file my iRacing complaint. Doesn't matter what he's in. This kid dominates. He shows it again, gets to the front early, and there's enough left on the bottom for him to stick it to everybody and hold his own line. Everybody else does it on the top here tonight to move around. Blake does it on the bottom and stays true to himself, gets it done down there. Takes home the checkers, and, well, when we put drop weeks in, maybe the new point leader here is great night here on the Coast to Coast Racing League. Congrats to Ross Corinna on his 360 win, and congrats to Blake Chapman on the 410 win here. Thank you to Flatline Racing Bodies for sponsoring Hometown Heroes this season. I'm Zach Chapman with Shaggy TV, saying thank you from everyone at Coast to Coast. On behalf of Roger Craig and all the admins, we're signing off. Have a good evening.